Crazy Cool Crochet, and I am so excited to bring you this project, this design. This is my crazy cool color block dress of Secret Yarn. While it is a number 4, it is actually a very, very thin yarn. So it works up beautifully, and it really is soft, and it drapes perfectly. And it also has that little bitty sheen. I don't know if it's going to show up on the video, but just enough to make it special. So it's not a flat yarn. It's not going to be a boring end product. It's going to be gorgeous. So I'm hoping that you love it as much as I do and you give it a go. Now for this one, I am using an eye hook or a 5.5 millimeter. And don't forget that I do leave all the detail, how much yarn was used, sizing and all that in the description area below. So whatever device you're using, you might see a different way to open up the description area. We are going to start with a foundation chain for the size small of 100. For medium, 112. For large, 124. And for extra large, 136. But keep in mind, these numbers are just suggestions. There are so many things that play into the dimensions of the end product. If you are crocheting with a looser tension or a tighter tension, if you're using a different yarn, all of these things will play a huge factor in the end product. So the numbers that I'm giving out are suggestions. Go ahead and start with the suggested number and then put the chain up against yourself, keeping in mind it's going to shrink up quite a bit as we are working that first row. So I've already started the chain here in the interest of time. If you need help with the beginning stitches, as always, I will leave a little white box up above. You can click on that and it will take you to the beginner tutorials that will show you how to do the foundation chain, the single crochets. This entire project will be worked in single crochets, so it's a very simple pattern. Okay, we are going to work that first row of single crochets in the foundation row only in the back loop. Okay, so rather than enter the hook through the front, we're going to work in the back loop. So let me get started and I'll explain why we're doing it this way. So we're going to skip that first chain, which kind of shrunk up on me, and I'll go into the back one, the back loop, for a single crochet. There's the next one. And we're just going to single crochet in each chain across the row. And as you can see, if you turn it over, you can see those back loops very easily. Okay, so the reason we're doing it this way, rather than going in through the front, which is certainly easier, is we will not be adding a border at the end of the panel. So doing it this way, you basically form a border automatically. So if you went through the front as you normally would, you would have a flat row. Doing it this way, you'll see as you're working it yourself, you get a nice flat bottom and it looks like a border row. So this is a really cool trick. If you've never done it before, you're going to really like it. So just keep going across the row in the back loop of each chain. Single crochets. So at the end of that first row, you will have 99 single crochets. So chain one and turn. Now skip that very first space and enter a single crochet in the next space, chain 1, skip the next space, single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip the next, single crochet in the next, and that's the pattern. Chain 1, skip the next, single in the next. So just continue across the row. When you get to the end of the row, you will skip that second to the last. You will have done your chain 1. Now you enter the last single crochet into that turning chain. Chain 1. And then turn. Then in the next row, and for each row going forward, you will enter your single crochet into the chain 1 space, starting with the first one. Chain 1, and then enter the next single crochet into that chain 1 space between the single crochets below. Chain 1, and then continue across. At the end of each row, you'll enter your last single crochet into the turning chain below, chain 1, turn, and continue in the pattern. So if you're working the size small, you will have 50 single crochets for each row. You'll continue in the pattern for a total of 20 rows. Now we'll continue in the pattern for row 21 for 10 single crochets. All right, we've completed 9 of the single crochets. Now we're going to start the 10th. 2 loops on the hook. Now we're going to bring in the light pink. So just drop the white behind the work, because we're actually working on the right side here. Bring in the pink, leave a good sized tail. We'll take care of that at the very end, weaving it in. Okay, now complete the 10th single crochet with the pink. And do your chain 1. And then you will continue your single crochets across the row, so you'll still have a total of 50. Now, what I want to make perfectly clear here, let me take the hook off. In order to have a nice clean line as you're working your way up with the various colors, as you are doing your color changes, you'll want to take the white, because you see how it's not showing as well with the light pink and the white, but this will make a crucial difference when you start bringing in the darker colors. You can see the white right there showing, and you don't want it to show too much anyway. So what you're going to do is take the white and tug on it so that it hides. So you'll want to tug on both the pink and the white, just to tighten everything up on that one seam that you'll be creating. Okay, so as we come back again with the pink row, we're going to change back to the white. So we will continue making those color changes all the way up. So you'll want to have a good process going here with the tightening of the yarn in your color changes. Okay, so now for this row, keep going. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochets all the way across. When we get to the end, chain 1, turn, continue with the pink until we come back to the color change area. And since this is the front, you're keeping your tails in the back. Do not cut off that white, because we are going to keep using it. Okay, now this is the 40th single crochet in the pink. So now it's time to do the color change back to the white. So now bring the pink this way because we're on the back. So we want the tails in the back. grab the white, complete that single crochet with the white, and tighten it, and tighten the pink. Okay, sometimes it's easier if you go ahead and finish that stitch. So do the chain one and tighten everything up. And go ahead and continue the row for the 10 white single crochets. At the end of the row, chain one, turn, come back, and the 10th will do the color change to the pink again. Okay, there's the 10th single crochet in the white. So now we're going to drop the white and pick up the pink again. From the back. Pull the pink through, start tugging on your yarn, chain one, into your next single crochet, chain one, make sure everything is nice and tight. And again, this will become very apparent when you start using the darker yarns. But right now you can see it's a nice clean seam right there. Okay, so repeat. Okay, this is where we're at on row 41. We did 10 white, and now we're on 10 pink. Now we're going to pick up the next color. Okay, so we're going to continue exactly the same, except we're going to switch colors on the 10th pink. Single crochet. And this next color is called Flamingo, which is a dark pink. Now just as before, squeeze everything down, chain one, and now you'll continue for 30 single crochets in this new color. When you get to the end, chain one, turn, continue for 30 again. Then you'll switch to the pink for 10, and then switch to the white for 10. Then chain one, turn, and continue in that new pattern. So you'll be working the 10 white, 10 light pink, and then 30 of the dark pink. Okay, this is really taking shape. It's looking so cool. All right, so now we're bringing in the purple, and the yarn is actually called Hot Grape. It's a deep dark purple. Okay, so on row 61, we bring in the dark purple. And of course we're working exactly as we have been. So now we've got the 10 white single crochets, 10 in the light pink. Now we did 10 in the dark pink, and that's where we bring in the purple. So then from here, we continue the row with 20 purple single crochets. So we will still end up with 50. So just continue as we've been working. And here is the completed front panel. And I can't quite get it all in the shot here. And it turned out to be a total of 125 rows for size small. And it measures about 27 inches long from top to bottom, which sounds ridiculously short, but actually I'm the one that's ridiculously short. So you will probably want to make this longer, in which case you would continue with the last of the rows with the top portion. You would just continue as far as you need to lengthen it. And when you are done, go ahead and cut off the different colors. Make sure you're leaving a good size, I'd say about 6 to 8 inch long tail. You'll have to weave that in at the end. And then to finish it off, what I like to do is on the last single crochet, you do your last chain, and then do one more chain, cut the yarn, leave that long tail, and then squeeze this down to form a knot. And that's it. You've got your finished panel. Then the next thing to do is the back panel, which is super simple. You're going to do the same pattern exactly. So if you've noticed, there's no increasing or decreasing, it's just straight panels. So you just follow the instructions for the front, the same foundation chain, the same pattern, but it's only one color. So this will go super fast. So make the back panel exactly the same number of rows, and then we'll put it together at the shoulders and then at the side seams, and we'll be done. Okay, now that we have the 2 panels completed, we are going to attach at the shoulders. And you want to make sure that you've got the right sides facing each other. The wrong side is facing you. Okay, so this is the foundation chain, so this is the right side where the tail is. Now you will take your yarn needle with a length of yarn and insert at the corners. Go under 2 strands of each panel. Now I like to knot or tie these loose ends together so they're more secure. Then you're going to come around for a whip stitch. And go down, you're working towards the neck. So you determine the neck opening for yourself. And for me, it worked out that I'm going to seam across 6 inches. And that will give me the neck opening that I like. So you'll do this all the way across. When you get to the length that you want, come back around for a few strands. And for this, I just go under 1 strand. And then you'll want to knot it. And then you can cut off the remainder. Now for the arm opening, you're going to seam from the bottom up in the same way with the same whip stitch. And of course, determine the armhole opening that works best for you. For myself, I'm going to leave an opening 9 inches long. So I will seam up until I have the opening that I like. And that's it. So just do both sides. Okay, the dress is complete, and I did decide to come back around and add a little finishing touch of a border on the sleeve. It looked fine without the border, but I went ahead and tried it, and it really looks more finished, more polished. And I used white for this sleeve, and it looks fine. I thought this was going to be a problem on the purple side, but it looks pretty cute. Okay, so now all I did, I'm going to show you on the other sleeve. So with the garment right side facing you, this is the neck. So I start at the bottom of the sleeve, and I enter the hook, and we're just going to do the same pattern with the single crochet, chain one, skip one. Okay, so enter for a chain to lock it in, then go in with a single crochet, chain one, skip a space, single crochet, chain one, skip a space. Now you're skipping spaces where it's feasible. If skipping a space leaves a huge gap, then don't skip a space. Okay, so just go all the way around. When you come back around to where you started, slip stitch into that starting space where you started the single crochet, chain one, and then one more row of the single crochet, chain one, skip one. Well, here you're not skipping, here you're just entering into each space. So chain one, single crochet into the space between the two single crochets below. That's it, just go all the way around. Slip stitch when you get back to the beginning, and then tie it off. I do recommend this yarn. The yarn itself was a pleasure to work with. There was not a single knot in any of the skeins, in all the skeins that I used, which, by the way, it didn't even take all that much yarn. It took less than a skein of the colors. Less than a skein, much less, of the pinks and the whites. Of course, I'll leave all the particulars as to exactly how much I used in the detail in the description area below. But this yarn was really nice to work with. No splits, no knots, just amazing. Okay, so finish this off and then enjoy your work of art.